born with it. But I've been living by a code, and little did I know they should have had a warning on it. And no-win situations, I gamble my salvation and head for the center of the storm while everyone's running away. If it's a crime to stand up for what is right, then I cross the line, and it keeps me up at night. You call it a sin, I know what I did, and I'm the only one who's gotta live with it. You don't have to judge me. I plead guilty. Guilty. So you think you got demons, or you think you got baggage, but there's an enemy inside of me that's always doing damage. There's two sides to every scope, one lost life, the other lost hope. And through my eyes every smile is stained with the same sadness. If it's a crime to stand up for what is right, then I cross the line, and it keeps me up at night. You call it a sin, I know what I did, and I'm the only one who's gotta live with it. You don't have to judge me. I plead guilty. It ain't pretty. The dirty work might have made my hands filthy. It might shake me, but won't break me. And in the end, well, you're gonna wanna thank me. Yeah, you love me when it's ugly, but when I go to face a good Lord above me, I know there's gonna be a price to pay. Yeah. Oh. If it's a crime to stand up for what is right, then I cross the line, and it keeps me up at night. You call it a sin, I know what I did, and I'm the only one who's gotta live with it. You don't have to judge me. Oh, you don't have to judge me. I plead guilty. Guilty. Maybe it's the way I was raised. Maybe I was born with it. Oh, the headphones are coming off. We're just keeping it loose and free and easy today. How is it going? Thursday. It's the big payback, and I got my CreatiVets gear on head to toe. My name is Tim Fagan. I'm just a lowly songwriter here in Nashville who is honored and just thrilled to be working with CreatiVets any day and in any way that I can. I was introduced to Richard Casper right when I moved to Nashville, which I think was a really good thing in a lot of ways. It sort of kicked off my time here, and working with CreatiVets has been amazing. I'm sure you guys have been hearing a lot about them, and of course you guys have been involved with them. Give it up for Garrett, by the way. It's good to every now and then get some live applause here in the streaming world. I know it's hard. I do a lot of streaming here on Mixer, and we're multi-streaming to YouTube and the other spots out there, the Facebooks and the Twitches of the world. And it's kind of crazy, but everything's kind of crazy these days. So if you're sitting at home right now, or you're standing at home, know that you are not alone. And I say that both to the veterans out there and also to the other creatives and the songwriters and musicians and just anyone who's like trying to make some sense of how to work from home, how to connect with people. We're all doing these, like video Zoom meetings and stuff like that. And it's good to see some familiar faces. I'll say faces. I see some names popping in like Porsche two-seater. And Mr. Two, how are you? I know some of these people in the real life and the IRL. And it's great to connect, like flat out, and music is something that is like always a connection for me, even when I'm just alone listening to music or alone playing, just me and my guitar. There's something that's really like healing about it. And also it can be anything. Like when I think about music, I think that it's like music is life. And that doesn't necessarily mean that like, you're making your living doing it or you're staking your life on, whether or not music is a career for you. It's in the air, it's in the emotions, it's in the memories, it's everything that I connect with sort of flows through music. So anything that I can do right now to sort of help if you're a guitar player, we're going to talk about some details on the guitar, but just know that I'm coming from a place of that I love songs, and the only reason that I ever put a guitar in my hands is because I just love what songs can do, the stories they can tell, the emotions they can connect me with, and really some of the things that they can do better than words. Even when there's lyrics in a song, sometimes it gives this kind of channel to say more than you're maybe able to or willing to if you were just face to face with someone. So that's a lot of what CreatiVets is so good at. Richard was able to tell his story through a song, really because he was kind of like hitting the end of his rope and feeling like if I don't find a way to sort of start talking about what I've gone through, what I've seen, and what I'm still going through, it's going to be really, really hard. And so I know that feeling in my own way of working through pain and different things in my life with music, because it's always there. So amen to that. Amen to CreatiVets. And really glad you're here. And don't forget, I know we're going to be telling you about the donations, but the links are popping up there in the chat. Be generous. Be confident knowing that if you're donating to CreatiVets, it's going to amazing people doing great things. And I'm just sort of chipping in and doing my part. So I feel humbled. But yeah, don't be shy. We're going to talk about guitar here. That song that I just played and opened with is called Guilty. And I enjoy playing it very much. It's one that I wrote through the CreatiVets program along with Richard and Brett and a veteran named Steve Crosley, retired Green Beret, if I have that correct, I hope. And again, this is something where like the people that we sit down with in this program, almost every single time, they have no experience, or so they think, no experience writing songs or no experience playing guitar. And so they're very modest, and in some ways, they're sitting down with us and maybe they're meeting us for the first time, us being, like some songwriters from Nashville and Richard, and people organizing this program. Not to say that Richard isn't a songwriter. Didn't mean to make a separate category, Richard. Awesome ketchup in the house. But we sit down and we meet these veterans, and they start telling their story and opening up to us. And before we know it, we've written a song together, and it's usually the first song they've ever written, and it's a lot of times it's the first song that us songwriters have ever written that has gone deep on a topic that we never thought we would be kind of able to write about. So it's amazing, it's powerful, and sometimes a song like Guilty comes out of it that honestly, when I play on my stream, I have a stream called Timmy's Comeback. So if you've seen Timmy's Comeback popping up in the chat, that's me. And I'm on Mixer and a lot of these other platforms as well. And I play a lot of songs and everything. But Guilty is one that people ask for a lot these days because there's something in it that kind of transcends just the military experience, which is the sign of any good song, is that it's bigger than just the heartbreak or the relationship, the details that are being talked about in the lyrics. So that's just something I would say too, is that if you think that your story is maybe too specific, whether you're a veteran or whether you're just watching as a musician right now, as a songwriter, sometimes we think, oh, if I share too much detail, it might rule out the rest of the world. And the truth is that's usually what people respond to the most, because it all works out. They find a way to sort of connect their own experience to it. So but the other reason that I played that song to begin with is that something I want to talk about as it relates to the guitar today. I don't really have a set lesson plan, but I was just thinking about like a lot of times what people think when they reach a point with guitar. Let's imagine that you've learned a few chords on guitar. Let's imagine that, you know, from my last lesson, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, you were practicing like your open chords. In fact, I'm going to switch guitars real quick. This one's tuned down a whole step, and I have the great luxury of having a few guitars, so don't go anywhere. Over here. And I'm experimenting. I'm going without headphones. I'm flying blind a little bit, but I can see the chat. So if there's anything that seems like it's going wacky in terms of the levels, just let me know. But basically, you're playing chords, like let's say a G chord, and let's say an E minor. And you're getting kind of accustomed to changing chords, playing along with songs, and then you're like, but I hear this, I hear a lick, I hear a riff, I hear some guitar playing in a song, and I want to be able to do that. How do I do that? Where do I start? And I think a lot of times people, the first scale that they come across, we're gonna touch on it today. Tell me in the chat if you're a guitar player out there. I know we got a couple people that are gunslingers, guitar slingers out there. Have you heard of the pentatonic scale? I'm going to tune up real quick. I'm going to walk through the pentatonic scale. Let me know if you've heard about it, even if you're not a guitar player. Does the word pentatonic ring any sort of a bell for you? Yeah. Yeah, Tim, I think I know what the pentatonic is. So, I'm glad you said that, because it is a lot of times the first scale that people get shown, especially when it comes to like blues playing. You know, like some easy blues licks might be in the scale. So, real quick glance at it, but I don't want you to start thinking that this is going to get too mathematical or heady. But I'm just going to run you through really quick that this is the E minor pentatonic scale. So, trying to scoot in here and do the sort of the hand cam. So we're playing an E minor chord, right? It's just these two notes right here. I'm assuming you know this one. We can walk through it real quickly just to sort of brush by it. You've got the low E string, which is open. Then you've got this A string, the fifth string, and you're going to hold down the second fret. Then you're also going to hold down the second fret of the D string. So those are the only two notes that you're holding down, and then the rest are just open. So the E minor pentatonic scale is basically just surrounding that chord right there. And as you can see on the chart there, all of these open notes here, that's what those just circles that don't have numbers represent. So already, if you just play all the open notes, you've got a bunch of the notes that are in the scale. So you're crushing it. You're already playing half the scale. Now, the other notes of the scale, you're just going to be holding down one note, like one finger on the fret above. So you can see there's like starting from the low E on that chart, there's the number 3. So you just count up 1, 2, 3 on the third fret, that fret that has the dot on it. Okay, so you're going to start with the open E. That's that circle there. That's just like a black dot. So that's just open, and then the next note is that number 3 up there, and we're going to follow that same pattern. So it's an open string, and then it's the third fret of that same string. Now you keep moving up now. So the next one is going to be an open string. So it's that next blank white circle. That would be the 5th string. So just to start again from the top, it's open, bottom, then you hold that 3, and then it's the next string higher, open. Now you're going to hold a 2. Okay, and don't worry about which finger you use. Just use whichever one is comfortable. It could be the middle or the ring finger, index, whatever. Just sort of get acquainted with like that alternating pattern of open, and then you're holding down a note, and then you're going to go up one more string, open, then you're going to hold down a note. Continue on up. You can see it goes. The next one's going to be open. So you can see you're either going to be holding down the 3rd fret or the 2nd fret. So it's a really simple shape, which is why it's very appealing, and it's a very good place to jump in. And then back down. We're going with the 3 on that first string. Open, 3 on the second string. Open, second string, second fret. And then open, second fret, open, second fret, open, third fret, open. So that's an easy chart you can pull up, and you can practice that and get it comfortable. It's an E minor pentatonic scale. Now, I have some news for you. You should learn that scale. But the catch is, that's one of the worst sounding scales out there. Let me explain. It's one of the most popular. I use it all the time. But promise me, once you start learning a scale, that you don't just start trying to be perfect and just learn the scale and play the notes in the scale, because this is one of the easiest scales to learn. And a lot of times people stop right there and they turn off the most important part of the equation. So if there's anyone out there watching right now and you're wondering, well, what's the most important part of the equation? In terms of guitar playing, there's a lot of things that go into it, but you tell me, what do you think is more important? Like let's say, is it the right hand? Is it the picking hand? Is it the left hand? Is it knowing all the notes up and down the fretboard? Is it, having really good rhythm? What would you say the most important component of playing guitar is? Having a guitar, that's a good start, right? Having a guitar that's in tune. We'll talk about that too. I'll give you some tips on how to tune your guitar up. You in the back there, yes. Your right hand, no, your right hand is very important. It's kind of like the engine. The right hand is sort of like the rhythm section. You can play something really simple, but it has a lot of syncopation. The left hand is important. That's kind of sometimes where everyone's watching. It sort of seems it's where all the sort of glory happens and on all the shredding, whatnot. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Proper note playing, that's a good way of saying it. Like just proper is something that could be interpreted several different ways. And the long and short of it, I'll say, yeah, Porsche, I'll take you up on that. Proper note playing, I would define as kind of what I talked about at the beginning. It's like the way that you listen to music and the way that you feel music is everything. And that's probably a reoccurring theme in whatever I teach you, is like, go back to what you love. Go back to what moves you in music and why it matters to you, because that's all going through your ear. Hopefully you got both. So we've got ears. We're listening to music. Keep listening to music and keep listening to your playing as you're going along. Don't forget about that. So when you play the pentatonic, a lot of times people learn it and then they start wanting to play the whole thing all the time. And it ends up sounding very kind of stilted and just kind of like it's like walking up and down a ladder, okay? And the only reason I would say, and I know this from experience because I've been guilty as charged of doing that, because it's so much fun to play that you get sort of caught up in just how the hands move and you really get kind of frustrated trying to learn where the fingers go. Don't get too hung up on the details. And that sounds like it's easy for you to say, you've been playing for a long time, but rather than trying to play the whole scale all the time and like trying to get your fingers to go where you want them to go, just take it in little pieces and break it down into little chunks where you can get comfortable with just like 3 notes of the scale. Like in that song that I opened with, the chords are in E minor, so I'm pretty guilty. It's a very straightforward song that's just E minor, G, and A7 most of the time. And in the chorus, I'm playing these little kind of fills that are in the E minor pentatonic. So you've got the, if it's a crime to stand up for what is right, then I cross the line. It's just a real simple bend, and you can start with that. If you're playing an E minor chord, go up to that to that low note there and just bend on that 3rd fret. So the very lowest note, you've got that low E. Now just grab that 3rd fret of the low E string. It's going to be a G note. And then just bend it. And then go back to the E minor. So if you got the E minor. So right away, it's like one note. But the fact that you just put it in the place where it connects like the end of one musical phrase and going into the next one feels kind of satisfying. It feels like, oh, that's like playing a scale. You're literally just going. So practice that. You can just be playing an E minor chord, right? You could be strumming very simply. Never think that what I'm doing is like intended to be, you know, it's just one way to do it. You could be like 1, 2, 3, 4. And just practice that flow between playing a chord. And here's the other thing that I want you to take away from this whole lesson is like use your ear at all costs and all the time. And I want you to sing along with what you're playing. I want you to connect like the idea that it's as easy as just using your voice. You don't need to have a super wide vocabulary of all the notes up and down the neck. But if you, it's like just like words. You can like use very few words to say a whole lot more if you're, you know, you have a clear intention about it. The same is true with musical notes. If you're playing just an E minor chord, like 1, 2, oh, bow, bow. And I know what you might be thinking is like, I don't sing. You might be thinking that. You might be thinking that I don't sing. I never thought of myself as a singer, and I oftentimes still don't. But the point is that it's not about like being perfect or trying to sing like in tune and all that. It's just connecting the musical intention with that expression. And that sounds kind of like abstract, but it's really the difference between like looking at the notes and getting really stressed out and trying to sound cool versus just like, what do I feel like saying? Think of the difference between just a bunch of notes versus like that Pink Floyd song, Wish You Were Here. It's so simple, but that's E minor pentatonic. So if you're playing along, you got your E minor, we've got our scale, right? Ba, ba. So it goes open 3, open 2, open 2, open 2, open 3, open 3, right? But within those same notes, you got an actual phrase. You got an actual like, it's almost a lyrical sounding kind of riff. I'm telling you, you could spend all afternoon just playing like that lick over and over again. And you would be teaching your ear and teaching your hands more than if you tried to go up and down the scale 20 times and treat it, you know, like sometimes we can get a little bit task oriented and try to like learn it like we're knocking out a bunch of like exercises like push-ups or whatever. And it's just in the same way with when you're training your body. If you're just doing like the same regimented exercises, you're only going to get good at doing that thing versus using like real strength when you're applying it in the real world. So like, again, in this same scale, we've got these little simple phrases that can become very musical and very iconic and very like interesting. Like in the same shape here, we've got, name that tune. Here we go. I'm going to give you a couple notes. Name that tune. I mean, you could get it just from that alone, but I'll give you a couple more notes. I'll give it a little bit of time. I know there's a little bit of stream lag. It's going out there, coming back. Anyone else got this? Name that tune. Here we go. Oh, that's like 99% of the riff. There we go, Porsche. My girl. Exactly right. They play it up here. That's the beauty of guitar too, is that once you learn a shape, you can modulate and move it up and down the neck. So we've got that exact same shape. Now we got it down here. So the beauty of the scale that I showed you, again back here, this pentatonic, is that you get like a 2-for-1 because that is the E minor pentatonic. It is also, at the exact same time, the G major pentatonic. And the way that works is that there's certain minor and major chords and minor and major scales that are related to each other. They're literally called the relative minor and major. And it's kind of like they're using the same letters to spell like words that have slightly different meaning. I don't know if there's a better way to say it. I'm sure there is. But they're using the same ingredients, the same notes. But hear the difference if I'm playing these notes in the E minor pentatonic scale. So the emphasis is landing on that E minor chord. Now the exact same notes, that's landing on the G. So the emphasis, or some would say the emphasis, is what's changing the whole like coloring of whether it sounds minor or major. So just know that if you're picking up this E minor pentatonic scale, you're also scooping up a G major pentatonic scale. So G major pentatonic is the tonality, is the sort of like, is the major sound that would allow us to play like a My Girl type of riff, because it's starting on that low G. I'll give you this camera. So that would be my challenge to you. One of the things that I'll give you as homework is take this scale, take this E minor scale, and see if you can, with your ear, figure out the My Girl riff on it. Boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba. It's a lot more fun and rewarding if you kind of hear your way towards what you want to have happen on the guitar. You can like imagine it, you can hear it in your head, and then you start kind of mumbling it and singing it, and maybe you're thinking like, oh man, hope no one's listening. Like, hope my dog covers up its ears because I'm singing now. Look out, world. And you just got to embrace it. You just got to dare to suck, as they say. Or maybe you got an amazing voice, and I don't need to tell you twice. You just got to use that here. So if you're comfortable singing, sometimes people think like, well, I could never play an instrument. Get over it. Stop making those excuses. You got time. You got time and space to sit down, and if you have a guitar that you've kind of not really like, you haven't taken the dive and picked it up in a while, just cut yourself some slack and just say, hey, it's okay if I have no idea what I'm doing the first time, the second time. Just let it play out and take one small little thing. So this one small little scale you can play with and sing along with. So something that's going to help you also, that I'll get into now, that is going to be super convenient, because we all have phones, I'm imagining. If you have a guitar and you have some kind of a smartphone, then you can download these apps. There's so many apps that'll help you with certain things like tuning the guitar. So if one of your excuses is, well, the guitar is always out of tune, I'm not sure how to tune it. Not only do they sell these things, which are like little clip-on tuners, and just you could literally enter into Amazon clip-on guitar tuner, and I guarantee you like 50 different ones will pop up that are ranging between probably like as cheap as like $5 to like $50, whatever. And they're all pretty great. They literally, you just clip it on, and see the moment that I clip it on, it starts displaying. I'll show you on this camera. These iPhone apps. Oh, sound is off on that camera. Oh, sorry about that. Let me see if I can fix that. I think it should be back now. Hey, hey, hey. Yeah, okay, I had that one muted. And then on this one, that one's working. Okay, thank you. Word up, Porsche, appreciate it. But on your phone, you can, same type of thing. Go to the App Store, whether you have an iPhone or Android, and just enter Guitar Tuner. I've got one that I think I paid for years ago called Guitar Toolkit. But it'll be the same type of thing. Like anyone will do, and this one is showing me the notes right there. You just have it near the guitar, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. The other thing that I wanted to show you, though, when it comes to the phone, is that using your built-in voice memos or any kind of audio recording. Again, there's so many different ones. Some way to just record the guitar itself. This is a way that you can jam along and test out some of your tasty licks on your own. So I'm gonna right now, I'm gonna hit record, and I'm just gonna play an E minor chord and switch between E minor and G major, right? So something like that, now I have a rhythm guitar player, and I can practice my scale over it. Turn the volume up, start it over here. And it's kind of fun to hear that I'm like, when you get comfortable with the scale, you can hear that you're playing the same notes, and then the chords, as they change around that scale, they have a different kind of feel to it. And that sounds a lot like the intro to Wish You Were Here, which if you go back and listen to that recording, that Pink Floyd song, what's kind of fun, I don't know how it came to be, whether it was intentional or an accident that they kept, but like the whole intro of that song, it almost sounds like that. It sounds like there's a guitar part that's playing on like a tiny speaker. It wouldn't have been a smartphone back then, but it might have been like the headphones or something like that. And then like an overdub, maybe David Gilmour was playing the guitar part, and then there was this set of headphones that was blaring with the guitar, the rhythm guitar. But it's kind of like that. He's playing these kind of like ba-boo-dum, bang, da-da-da, and he does these. And these are just little like 2-note versions of pieces of the scale. So if you take that E minor pentatonic that we got, right in that middle part of the scale, that's happening right there in the 5th and the 4th string, the open string. Open second, right there, and you can just follow your ear and find that out. Then you go back to your phone, let the rhythm guitar player, aka you from 2 minutes ago, play. Another thing that can help when you're kind of playing on your own and feeling a little bit like you don't have a band to back you up is that you can get some sort of a metronome, but cooler than that would be some drum beats. And I just, right before starting the stream, downloaded, a terrible drum loop app, but it's great in the sense that it's free, and it immediately has some beats that I can play along with. Maybe I could go back and find some better ones, but my point is that there's no excuse for being like, well, I got no one to play along with and stuff like. Well, until you get someone that is, crazy as you to come over and start jamming, or maybe doing it remotely or something, or 6 feet apart in a park, you can find ways to jam along by recording yourself playing rhythm guitar. Or, for example, this one, look at how awesome this interface is. Drum loops and metronomes. Yep. This is one of those apps that you get to play like one beat, and then they show you like a really dumb like video game that you have to wait through. But again, it's free. and it's the first one that popped up. And this one has these like random like drum beats that are like, it says Aerosmith, Sweet Emotion. So cheesy as it gets, but you can adjust the tempo, make it go faster or slower. You can practice your playing. Stop, you maniacal little drummer. So you can just like practice the groove side of it, practice the soloing side of it. And again, keep tapping into your voice. And the power of your voice is endless, basically. I haven't really jammed along with the YouTube instructional videos, but the thing is, since I was diving deep into learning guitar, I would say like it is anything you want it to be. You can learn any song. It's limitless on YouTube. And what I'd be curious to know is that if there's anyone watching that is learning guitar, if they feel a little bit overwhelmed, because that's the only side effect that I think might happen, is that there is so much content out there now and so many people that are teaching online lessons and YouTube videos that it would almost like kind of blow your mind with all the ways that you can kind of approach learning guitar. I think it's amazing. It's all an upside. It's a good thing, but jamming along is great. I really encourage it, and like always think of it though as a way that like you're doing it so that you can like share it with other people. Like if you can, as soon as possible, lead to a situation where you're jamming together, as soon as we can, be on the same front porch, going into summertime, 2 people playing guitar, it's so much fun. Like find someone who can be someone that kind of keeps you accountable, someone that you learn songs with, where one person plays the rhythm, the other person plays the signature riff, and then you can maybe trade halfway through the song. Thank you, Baba Spam. Yeah, I love this Washburn, and I don't play it probably hardly enough, but it has a really nice bright sound. I love the cutaway too. And I guess my point is that like make sure that playing music feels like it is that, like you're playing and it's alive. So stock up on the videos, like dive deep on whatever they got to offer you, things like this. But always bring it back to what you love and be like, okay, I'm going to try out that new trick that I learned in a song that I'm writing. I know you might be writing a song because you learned a new riff or a new chord. That's a fun thing to challenge yourself to do. Or I'm going to just like come up with my own type of riff, my own type of like blues lick that starts with the one that I just learned in this video, and then I'm going to flip it around and kind of like morph it. Basically like, play with it until it becomes something different. The Washburn, compared to a Taylor, I would say, so many Taylors and so many Washburns, they're all different flavors, but the general kind of character, the ones that I know best are Gibson and Martin. Like the Gibson, the Hummingbird I was playing at the beginning, has a really kind of like nice mid-range, a nice kind of like, it's a really balanced kind of sound. I think it records really well, and it's got a lot of body to it without boominess. The Taylors are brighter and shinier. I've never exactly fallen in love with the Taylor sound to be like really versatile, but I haven't played one in a number of years. And especially for like finger picking, Taylors can be great because that brightness that they add when you're playing like softer just with the tips of your fingers, it can create this nice balance of that kind of soft fingertip with the air and the detail. And actually, to be honest with this Washburn, I guess it's always been fairly bright, but when my buddy borrowed it, I asked him what strings he put on. I thought maybe he tried some different strings because it has this noticeable brightness now that I really enjoy. And so I asked him what strings they were, and apparently they were just the Martin, the bronze wound ones. But yeah, the Martin that I have is a mahogany one, and it's really warm, and I love that about it. Yeah, there's something that I think tough to say on a desert island which one I would have, but yeah. So Porsche, like what you're saying about learning a notebook for an album, I enjoyed. Yeah. That was really how I took my guitar playing in the early days like to a place where I felt really plugged into it is that tablature was huge, and I'm sure you guys have seen tablature. It's the six strings laid out like musical notation, and it's a lot easier to follow along. It looks a lot more like this chart here, where just the numbering of the strings is laid out, and you can follow your ear and play along with songs. So if you've never heard of tablature, it's called tab. Maybe you've seen it when you go to look up the chords for a song. Just by doing a search, you'll see like the chord charts, and then you'll see the tab. Tablature is a great thing to learn. It's way easier than learning notated music, especially when it comes to guitar. It almost makes a lot more sense than notating for other instruments. Like musical notation is limitless and fantastic when it comes to scoring things. But with guitar, it's almost a little more like to the point, to just see the numbers and kind of follow along. Yeah. Oh yeah. And drum tab is pretty interesting too. I got a good friend who's an amazing drummer, and he actually notates when he's learning a song. He learns songs so quickly, plays on so many sessions, that he's able to take that like extra like one time through the song to chart out in like drum tab, if they even call it that. And it's amazing because it's the same type of thing. It's like notation. I guess in some ways that's a little more like the musical notes and stuff like that. But in general, like the main thing that I want you to know is that like you gotta like claim some of this stuff and make it your own, because there's so much information, there's so much history, and there's so many different types of guitars, acoustic, electric, and just the acoustics that we talked about. Never lose sight of the fact that like music is what brought you here, and it should be what comes out of this place when you go into like the practice mode. Like dive deep with it, learn the scales, but keep bringing it back to the level of like, man, this sounds good, or this really feels good to sing, feels really good to play this. It's like, just notice how it makes you feel, and then if you can share that feeling with other people, it's really powerful. And in the process of healing, and the process of telling your story, just never underestimate, even if you're a beginner, like your life experience is what's really going on. Like your story is what you're really sharing. The mechanics of it, get determined, learn it. If you want to be really like focused and like get up at 5 a.m. and play your scales, do it. But promise me you'll do it from a place of like, I'm going to get so good at this scale so I don't even have to think about it, and then I can get back to just delivering the song, or delivering the instrumental, like delivering the notes in a way that really sounds like playing. A lot of times when I hear great playing but it doesn't move me, I think, it just sounds like hands. Sounds like really, really well skilled, like athletic hands, versus something that's just like one note, B.B. King or something like that takes you somewhere. So the singing and playing together, I chalk that up as to being like, it's kind of the good kind of scary. It's sort of like that awkward feeling of like, oh man, am I really like scat singing now? The learning rut that Porsche is mentioning is real. The learning rut comes and goes. So the main thing I would say that I know is that like, don't take it personally, but do take it just as an indicator. It'd be like if the check engine light goes off. Treat it like or like an oil change, where it's like at some kind of interval of whether it's like maybe it pops up every year or every few months, you feel a little bit stagnant or stale. And I think you basically, it's a moment of self-awareness where you're like, I'm just repeating myself. And again, think of it as a conversation. Sometimes you have these moments where you're like, wow, I'm kind of telling the same story. I'm kind of just like hitting people with, the moment they bring up this topic, I just sort of blast them with all the same talking points I usually do. And in a way, it's sort of like you're just pushing back with all those words, and in music with all those notes. It'd be like, oh, is it my turn to solo? Okay, I'm going to play this one, and then I'm going to move to and then I'm going to give them some of and then when I'm done, I'll just sort of assess the damage afterwards. And that can, if you have that moment where you realize that you're not enjoying it as much as you thought you would, and you're repeating the same moves, and to be honest, your brain might be kind of drifting off while you're doing it, that means you're not quite as present as you probably used to be. And that's I say that as if I'm talking to you, but I've noticed that within myself. So that has been why I've come around to really trusting the singing and playing together. So it's changed up my way of practicing. Instead of getting too caught up in the details, what I'll do is just I'll improvise, and I'll play along with instead of my phone, I'll be playing along with like a looping device, and you can look into those too. A looper that sort of plays along the chords, and then I'll sing some phrases off the top of my head, and then I'll try to learn how those go on the guitar. So I kind of like I guess what I'm saying is that you look for something that kind of gives you a breath of fresh air and disorients you. Yeah, it's funny. I just said breath of fresh air and read what Boba Spam wrote. Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's like you get that shot in the arm from a new genre. Like for a long time, I'll grab another guitar here. If you've seen me play on my Timmy's Comeback stream, a lot of time I'll play a song in a bossa nova style. And I sort of call it jokingly, I'm going to play it like a bossa. Because I'll take a cover and then I'll do a sort of a smoothed out rendition of it on the nylon string. But a lot of what I'm doing when I'm playing the nylon string is that I'm borrowing from all the little tricks I learned from this one book. I think it's called Brazilian Guitar by Nelson Farinha, I think. But the point is, all these rhythm patterns in there, I just loved them, and so I found something that. So that's like the little basic riff from Girl from Ipanema. But I just love the feel of that style of playing. And so I dove into that, and it was sort of like having a little side project or a little secret mission where, and that's what I would say, like to the broader point of how you get unstuck is like, find something that like lights you up, that you want to geek out on. And it's almost like you have that little project that pops in your head like, I bet if I sat down with that a while, like, it's almost like you're taking it into your garage. Like, I bet you I could build, like, I could hot rod this car if I like, learned about this and that. Same thing is true with music. If you find a style of guitar playing, like whether it's in this case, Brazilian style guitar or like finger picking or like blues guitar, like slide guitar is great. Something that basically just makes you start as a beginner, because that's surprisingly what can unlock you and make you free you up to have a lot more fun in everything else you're doing. Because when you're a beginner, the advantage to that is that you have lower expectations. You're just kind of a sponge to like, oh, what is this? I've never done it. And you can have some happy accidents and have that beginner's luck. And if you find yourself basically feeling sort of like, in a rut, I'd say you got to like look for that thing that can put you into beginner's mode again, because it's just fun. And with that in mind, if you truly are a beginner, approaching the guitar, like enjoy that. And that's not just someone saying like, oh, like enjoy being a beginner. Like, isn't that cute? It's like, it's great. It's some of my favorite years of playing guitar were like the first ones where I was just diving deep. I was not awkward now, obviously. I was an awkward freshman in high school, and it gave me like a secret mission to just dive into it and play along with my heroes, get a little bit better. But I was a kid, so that allowed me to not have as much pressure of thinking how I'm going to try to make a career out of it. See if you can create that space for yourself where you're just, hey, let's see what happens. Maybe I suck. Maybe I suck tomorrow too. Or maybe I learn one new thing that I can't stop thinking about, and I can't wait to get back to my guitar and play that riff. I'm telling you, if you've got one riff that you can't wait to get back to the guitar to play, that means you're doing it. You're doing it right. You are exactly in the sweet spot of learning an instrument, learning a language, anything where you feel like passionate about it. So look forward to that. I mean, I hope that some of what I sort of scan through today gives you like a way in. But just know that all I'm talking about is taking something like a scale that can sort of feel like math or feel like homework and numbers, and just turn it into music as soon as you possibly can. And my key to that, or my advice to that, is to sing along with what you play, as good or bad of a singer as you think you might be. It does not matter. I don't care, because that good, scary feeling, that's the kind of scary that you can lean into. The kind of scary where you're worried about your safety or the people that you love, that's the bad scary. That's the scary that nobody wants to be inviting into their life. But the kind of scary that makes you feel like, oh man, I don't know if I'm ready to share that, or I don't know if I don't know if I can, how do I express that, or I don't know if I'm good enough, but I really love it, but I don't know if I'm good enough. That sort of like tug of war feeling, like I'm going to put my money down and say that is the indicator that has always led me towards the thing that had a breakthrough waiting for me, whether it was in my career, in my relationships, just in my life in general. It's like you kind of know when there's that sort of feeling of like, I think I got to do this. Oh man, am I crazy? This is kind of scary. This little lolly coming in to say, yeah, she's scared of peeing in the house, but she's going to get a chance to go outside because it's gorgeous here in Nashville today. But yeah, so a lot of talking and blabbing, not much guitar playing, but that's kind of how I roll. If you've seen my stream, Timmy's Comeback, I do a lot of talking and a little bit of rocking. So embrace the guitar playing, use your ear, be a beginner, soak up that good, scary feeling of, am I crazy? It's like, yeah, welcome to the club. Just share your crazy, and then we can all feel good about it, and we can sing along with you, right? I'm going to close out with a song that was also from the CreatiVets program, and this is also a song, as it turns out, that is in the key of G major / E minor. Remember, they are related. They're like kissing cousins, but it's okay in this state. They're good. I'm going to pull up the lyrics just as a little reminder, because they're really good lyrics and I don't want to screw them up. So again, donate to CreatiVets. Your money is going to a fantastic place. Helping these programs continue to run, particularly during this time where they've adapted to the streaming environment and been doing an amazing job. I'm going to move this camera so I can put this. Look out. Sorry. Okay. But yeah, the programs they run, you've seen some of the videos if you've been watching the stream, those intro and outro videos. The programs, the art that they're doing. I mean, again, like I love watching their streams now, seeing what Garrett is doing, the collage work, Big Mike doing the marker pens or the paint pens on the shoes and the cigar boxes. It's fascinating, and it's so inviting to people that are, have experience in the military, and those who are civilians who are like myself trying to get involved. So there's any number of ways that can help and that you can get involved. Check out the links that are in the chat. And keep doing that thing you do. I can't remember who's coming up next, but I'm sure it's someone amazing. I might even get a text from Awesome Ketchup as I talk about it. But hats off, or hats on if you got the CreatiVets logo, to these men and women that are doing fantastic work and putting on all this streaming content. And this song, literally, if you want to play along while I'm playing the song, I'm not going to hear you, and you got free reign to be playing along. Just singing along with it. Thank you, XZX, bro, Lucas, X443. You are rad too. This is called Burn Brighter. It was written with Richard and Brett and Chris Ferrara and Michael Lacey. He is a former Marine, I think. He's just a badass individual is what he is, and larger than life, and amazing human being. We met him at this event in Orlando, And if you can picture whatever friend you have that is the life of the party, everyone loves. The moment this friend walks into the room, everyone's like, oh, here comes so-and-so. They're going to tell that story that blows the roof off, because just sort of exudes, life and always seems like he wants to connect with people, from a good place. And so when we finally got him to sit down and sit in one place and tell his story, it was amazing. And even in sharing his story, he wanted to create something that could help other people. So he got a lot off of his chest, and he wanted to turn it into something that's kind of uplifting. And that's what this song turned out to be. It's called Burn Brighter. It's in the People's Key of G major. So jam along if you would. And thanks a lot for listening. My name is Tim. Stick around. CreatiVets has something for you, I guarantee it. And if you got something for them, please donate, and know that every bit helps. I was born far from home. To this very day I roam, listening to the voice that's always calling out to me. My folks stay busy talking while I put my feet to walking. I could hear a drummer, but I follow my own beat. Oh, I keep rolling. No, I don't know how to quit. I get up when I get hit. Yeah, I'm a fighter. Deep in my soul, I know I'll keep carrying this fire. So bring on the darkest night, 'cause I'll burn brighter. Not so very long ago, I thought I'd do it on my own, hiding in the shadows till the light shine down on me. Now I embrace the struggle as I rise up from the rubble, willing to go the distance till I reach my destiny. Oh, I keep rolling. Oh, I don't know how to quit. I get up when I get hit. Yeah, I'm a fighter. Deep in my soul, I know I'll keep carrying this fire. So bring on the darkest night, 'cause I'll burn brighter. In our most desperate hour, this country finds the power. It's when we're tested that we shine. In our most desperate hour, this country finds the power. It's when we're tested that we shine. We shine. Oh, we keep rolling. No, we don't know how to quit. We get up when we get hit, 'cause we're all fighters. Deep in our souls, we know we'll keep carrying this fire. So bring on the darkest night, and we'll burn brighter. Hey, yeah. Thanks, y'all. Stick around. Enjoy yourselves, and please donate. All right.
We are a nonprofit that's helping combat disabled veterans heal through the arts and music. Our art programs in Chicago and California help combat disabled veterans tell their story through art. We enroll them into the best art institutes in the country. We pay for their tuition, their housing, their food all 3 weeks so that they can finally tell their story through art. We also bring Combat Disabled veterans to Nashville, to places and rooms like this here at the Grand Ole Opry, to tell their story for the first time with pro songwriters all about the things that they went through that they've never been able to talk about before. These programs have been extremely successful in helping veterans combat their PTSD. Right now, CreatiVets has more veterans applying for our programs than we do funding. So if you can go to creativets.org and donate, we would appreciate it.